bring the boxes and we'll just start processing right there, me and Brandi.
He was the young gun of Storage Wars, a high-stakes bidder with a signature style and fiery relationship that kept millions tuned in. But behind the scenes of reality TV glamour, a darker story was unfolding. From secret breakups to shocking legal battles, what really happened to Jarrod Schulz? Today, we're uncovering the truth behind his sudden disappearance. To understand where it all went wrong, we have to look back at how it started. The birth of the young guns. Long before fame, Jarrod Schulz was a regular guy trying to make a living off storage auctions until everything changed one afternoon in Harbor City, California. A&E producers had recently come into the city scouting for a new show, and they stumbled upon a couple who stood out from the many professionals they had come across. Jarrod was energetic, impulsive, and willing to bet his last dollar on the most ridiculous things. Standing right next to him was Brandi, his wife. Both of them had chemistry that was undeniable, and that was exactly what the producers at A&E were looking for. Their search was over, and they had finally found their reality TV stars. The producers thought of the perfect fit for the couple and decided that they fit the description of young guns. This name was a smart move by the network because it immediately separated them from the older and more established bidders like Jarrod Schulz or Dave Hester. They represented a new generation of hustlers who were edgy, tattooed, and a lot more relatable to younger audiences who dreamed of finding a hidden fortune in a dusty garage. This branding worked almost too well because within a few months of the first season airing, Jarrod and Brandi went from running a small secondhand shop to becoming international celebrities. Their store, Now and Then, which was in Orange, California at the time, became a tourist destination. Fans of the show traveled from all over the country, hoping to finally meet their favorite couple in person. It was a dream. Jarrod went from being a nobody to a celebrity in the blink of an eye. If anyone had told Jarrod that this would be his reality, he'd probably have called them nuts. His life hasn't always been so glamorous. He had a rough history that many fans didn't know about early on. Back in the late 90s, he was incarcerated for substance-related charges. After he got out, he tried to go the straight route by working as a mortgage broker. When the housing market crashed, that's when he finally decided to go into the storage business. With his not-so-smooth background, it gave him all the nerve he needed, which people loved to watch. A&E leaned heavily into the couple's constant arguing. The network marketed their bickering as relatable couple goals, making it seem like their fights were just a sign of a passionate, healthy relationship. People loved watching Jarrod take massive risks while Brandi tried to save their bank account. It was perfect for television, and for a while, it seemed like they were the ultimate power couple of the auction world. But while their on-screen chemistry was gold, the cameras weren't capturing the growing distance between them. By 2014, Jarrod and Brandi were the biggest stars on the network. A&E wanted to capitalize on that fame, so they gave the couple their own spin-off series. It was titled Married to the Job, and the show's aim was to take the viewers further into the private lives of their favorite reality TV couple. This was a major change from seeing them work at the storage facilities. Now, viewers got to see them live their lives in real time and do other things away from their workplace. Looking back at the series title, it's hard to ignore the irony of it all. Most viewers, and everyone in particular, assumed Jarrod and Brandi had been husband and wife for years. Come to find out that these two were never legally married. They had only been together for almost 20 years and shared 2 children. And that was it. Nothing more, nothing less. The spin-off series was a way to show viewers a lighter side of their relationship, instead of all the bickering that they did on Storage Wars. It was a hit. The viewers loved it. The ratings were high, and the public opinion of it was positive. However, now that everyone knew the couple weren't exactly official, the audience hoped they'd finally get to a front row at their wedding. But that never happened. Behind the scenes, the pressure of maintaining a happy family image was starting to take a toll. While the couple tried to expand their business, they were also struggling to film multiple shows at once, and it was a lot of work. This workload created a lot of friction that the cameras did not always show, but soon enough, the signs of strain started to show in the episodes. Their bickerings felt less like a joke or an act, and more like genuine frustration. This likely explains why the show only lasted for 8 episodes before it was cancelled. Regardless, their business was doing really well. Their store in Orange was packed with customers, but their home was crumbling. Even as they returned to the main show, the cracks were getting harder to hide from the public eye. Little did fans know, the marriage was over before the show even reached its final season. The secret 2018 split. Late 2018 marked the actual end of an era, even though the public was kept completely in the dark. While fans were still watching the couple bid on lockers in Season 12 of Storage Wars, their relationship had already ended behind closed doors. They managed to keep this split a secret for nearly 3 years. It was so hard keeping their split a secret because it was a logistical nightmare for the production crew. To keep their act together, they had to arrive at filming locations in separate cars and carefully coordinate their movements to avoid each other until the cameras started rolling. Brandi eventually spoke out, and she described her private life as turbulent and deeply unhappy. The playful arguing that viewers loved had turned into a toxic environment she could no longer withstand. The decision to keep their split a secret was mostly about business. The Young Guns was a brand, and that brand was their primary source of income. If they told the truth, they risked losing their spot on the show. However, they couldn't hide it for a long time, as the pressure soon affected their physical stores. Their famous Now and Then location in Orange, California, ended up closing its doors as it became nearly impossible for 2 owners who weren't on good terms to run their business. Even though they tried their best to maintain a professional front, fans on social media began to play Snoop and noticed that Jarrod and Brandi stopped appearing in photos together. The comments sections on their pages became a constant stream of questions about their status. They were living 2 entirely different lives, while the network continued to air the clips of the show, making them look as if they were still together. This period was probably the most difficult part of their careers because they were essentially faking a reality for the sake of television ratings. Even while they were waiting for the perfect time to come clean, the weight of the secret was becoming heavier as the days went by. The fans knew something was wrong, and the tension was visible in every new episode that aired. The facade finally crumbled in Season 13, but the announcement was just the tip of the iceberg. When Season 13 finally premiered, the rumors were put to rest in the most awkward way possible. The producers didn't do a big emotional sit-down interview or a special retrospective. Instead, the show just moved forward with Brandi simply stating that she and Jarrod had been separated for 2 whole years. The show had to end because the Young Guns were no longer a team. In fact, they were now bitter rivals. For the first time in the history of the series, they were bidding against each other for the same lockers. This was not the kind of competition people were used to seeing between other cast members. The interactions at the storage units felt genuinely hostile. The witty banter was now replaced by cold stares and short, sharp comments that made everyone watching feel the tension. One person that seemed to love this new change was Brandi, and she thrived in her new role. Fans quickly noticed what many called a glow-up. She looked more confident and appeared happy to be calling the shots. She was building her own brand and proving she could handle the business on her own. On the other side of the locker, Jarrod handled things a little differently. His bidding style became a lot more aggressive and impulsive. He was determined to outspend Brandi, even if the locker wasn't worth the price. To fans, it felt like he was trying to prove he was still the king of the auction world, but it rather came across as desperate than strategic. People working behind the scenes later hinted that filming these episodes was incredibly uncomfortable. There was no escaping the bad blood, and the production team had to be careful not to get caught in the middle of their personal arguments. The reaction from the fans was exactly what you'd expect. Realization had hit hard, and the Young Guns brand they had supported for years was officially dead. Fans who would go to buy merchandise from the store didn't meet the same energy as before. While some viewers enjoyed seeing Brandi's independence, others felt the show had lost its heart without the couple's partnership. The network, on its own part, tried to figure out a way to keep the show alive during this massive change. But the real-life drama was starting to leak from storage facilities and into the real world. The professional rivalry soon turned into a legal nightmare at a local bar. The Orange County Bar Incident. On April 30th, 2021, the tension that had been building for years finally boiled over in a way no one would have expected. And it happened at a local bar in Lake Forest, California, where Brandi was on a night out with her friends. Everything was going fine until Jarrod showed up unexpectedly. It was not a meeting to discuss their kids or their business. It was an unexpected confrontation that not even Brandi herself saw coming. Witnesses reported that an argument started almost immediately. The situation escalated quickly into something much more serious than a simple disagreement. According to police reports, the shouting turned into a physical confrontation, and Jarrod allegedly pushed Brandi twice and continued to scream at her in front of everyone present. It was a messy scene that ended with Jarrod leaving the bar before the police could get there. By the time officers arrived to take a statement, the reality star was already gone. The story did not stay local for long. TMZ broke the news shortly after, and the headlines went berserk through the fan base. Suddenly, the man people had watched for over a decade was being viewed in a completely different light. Not only were they trying to get over the fact that their favorite couple had broken up, but they also now had to deal with this national scandal. For several days, both Jarrod and Brandi stayed completely silent, away from all the chaos online. There were no social media posts or PR statements to clear the air. The silence only made things worse when fans began to pick sides and demanded answers about what they had just read. The dramatic event was one that changed the course of their lives forever. Jarrod is soon about to face a misdemeanor domestic violence battery charge. The fun-loving bidder with the funny hats that everyone knew was gone. He was replaced by a man facing serious allegations in the Orange County court system. He had now gone from being a beloved TV personality to facing the wrath of the law, and worse. With a domestic violence charge on the table, A&E had a massive problem on their hands. The legal system began to move as soon as the police reports were filed. Jarrod appeared in court and entered a plea of not guilty. He even went as far as asking the judge to dismiss the case entirely, claiming the incident was blown out of proportion. While he was trying to clear his name in the courtroom, his bosses at A&E were busy looking at the situation from a business angle. The network launched its own internal investigation to find out what had actually happened that night at the bar. A&E was no stranger to cast members causing trouble. They had already dealt with Dave Hester's massive lawsuit where he claimed the show was rigged. However, legal fights over contracts or show secrets are one thing. Allegations of physical violence against a female co-star are on a completely different level. For the network, this was the final straw. They had a hit show to protect, and Brandi was one of their biggest draws. Keeping Jarrod on the network would have made them look like they were ignoring a serious issue. Even as reality television thrives on drama, there are certain lines that networks cannot cross, especially in this time and era. The producers had to weigh the value of Jarrod's personality against the risk of a public relations disaster. They chose to protect the brand, and that meant Jarrod's future on television was effectively cut short without any fanfare. The network had no choice but to quietly distance itself from him while the legal proceedings moved forward. Interestingly, there were very few public updates on the case after the initial news broke. There were barely any updates on the settlement or final verdicts concerning the charge in the media for a long time. Soon, the legal battle moved behind closed doors, and the news on Jarrod ended. He went from being a main character to a person the show no longer acknowledged after 10 years in the spotlight. Fans were left wondering what happened to the legal charges while Jarrod began to fade from public view. While the court case lingered, Jarrod simply vanished from our screens. Just like that, Jarrod was let off the show with no big announcement or special farewell episode to commemorate his departure. Instead, the producers treated him like a memory they all wanted everyone to forget. When the new episodes aired, the editing was incredibly obvious. The cameras focused entirely on Brandi or the other veteran buyers. If Jarrod happened to be at the auction, the editors made sure he stayed in the background or was cut out of the frame entirely. Fans were not going to let him go that easily. Social media was flooded with people questioning Jarrod's whereabouts. Soon, small campaigns started popping up online as people demanded to know why one half of the young guns was missing. The network chose to stay quiet, and they did not offer any explanations or statements to the press. They were too busy rebranding the series to keep the ratings up. They brought back fan favorites like Barry Weiss, also known as the Collector, to fill the void Jarrod left behind. They took a step further to lean into the nostalgia of the original cast, while making sure Jarrod was no longer part of that legacy. This marked the official end of an era for the show. The partnership that built the series was permanently broken, and the brand was moving on. The difference between how it was when Jarrod and Brandi were compared to the recent development was clear as day. While Jarrod went into total radio silence, Brandi was thriving. She continued to be a central part of the show and grew her social media following even more. She was the face of the new independent era of Storage Wars. Jarrod was left in the shadows and went from being an international star to a ghost in his own industry. Fans who had watched them from day one felt the show was different, without Jarrod's energy that he brought to every auction. For him, losing his major source of income meant he had to find a new way to pay the bills. TV checks coming in, Jarrod found a way around, which led to the start of his new business venture, the Rush Bar and Grill. In 2019, he made a major move by purchasing the Rush Bar and Grill in Lake Forest, California. This was a completely new experience from his days bidding on abandoned storage units. Transitioning from the storage king to a local bar owner was a daring play. On the bright side, it allowed him to take control of his own destiny away from network executives. The atmosphere at the Rush is exactly what you would expect from someone with Jarrod's personality. It is a classic American sports bar with a focus on good food and a welcoming ambiance. Jarrod worked hard to promote an image of himself as a dedicated family man and a serious entrepreneur, and the last thing he wanted was to be seen as a fading reality star. He wanted to be a big part of the Lake Forest community. To make the business a success, he leaned into his celebrity status and became the face of the bar's marketing. He used his recognizable name to draw in massive crowds for events like St. Patrick's Day and NFL Sundays. Fans who show up hoping for a glimpse of the man they saw on TV are often surprised to find him actually working. From the online reviews, it was obvious his plan worked really well. It seems like many people who visited the bar are major fans of Storage Wars. This business became his financial safety net Once the A&E checks stopped coming in, he found a way to stay relevant in his own town while providing a stable life for himself outside of the spotlight. The Rush Bar and Grill gave him a fresh start and a place where he could be his own boss. This new business venture not only provided more than financial security, it also opened the next page of a brand new chapter in his personal life. Around 2021, a new unfamiliar face began to pop up alongside Jarrod. Unlike the high-profile drama of his past, this relationship started away from the cameras. As time went, reports discovered this new face was Rochelle Beckman, a regular at the local restaurant and bar scene in Orange County, which makes sense given Jarrod's new life as a business owner. Jarrod chose to share his new romance through a series of casual Facebook posts. He shared photos of them at sporting events and hanging out at the bar. The difference in his public image was glaring, a constant reminder of how he was with Brandi. On Storage Wars, everyone knew Jarrod as the guy who spent his time bickering and arguing with Brandi, but with Rochelle, he seemed different. From the photos, fans seemed to think he was happier and relaxed. Since they got together, Jarrod has stayed out of the headlines and away from the limelight, and has now traded national fame for local respect. While he still engages with fans at his bar, he no longer seeks the attention of the paparazzi. The reaction from the public was a bit of a mixed bag. Many fans who had watched the show for a decade were still firmly Team Brandi. They found it hard to see Jarrod with someone else after so many years of the Young Guns brand. However, as time went on, the noise began to reduce. As of 2026, Jarrod and Rochelle are still going strong. They have managed to build a stable, low-profile life together in California, focusing on their shared interests and the daily grind of running a successful business. It is a far cry from the days of bidding thousands of dollars on mystery boxes, but for Jarrod, it seems to be exactly what he needed to find his footing again. While Jarrod was moving on, Brandi was finally finding the peace she claimed she never had with him. More about the Young Guns. Brandi didn't stay quiet for long once she was finally free from the shadow of her old life. In a series of interviews, she opened up about what those years with Jarrod were really like behind the scenes. While the world saw a feisty woman who could hold her own, Brandi later admitted she was often exhausted by the constant tension. She also set the record straight about their family life, claiming she had been the primary caregiver for their children while balancing the demands of a high-stakes career. It was a heavy load to carry, and the stress of the relationship only made it harder. Once the split was official, the change in Brandi was impossible to miss. Her social media went from professional updates to genuine smiles. She seemed to drop the cynicism that had become her trademark on television. She even got a tattoo as a symbol of her new independence, marking a fresh start that was entirely her own. During this time, she faced some incredibly difficult personal hurdles, including a nasty revenge porn lawsuit. Regardless of it all, she's still an active cast member on Storage Wars. Her personal life also took a turn for the better when she introduced the world to Clifford Beaver. She described him as the person who finally made the sun come out after a long storm. Fans were thrilled to see her in a relationship that looked supportive and peaceful. She managed to also find her way around being a part of a famous duo to still maintain her position as the Queen of Storage. However, as both parents moved on to new partners and new lives, the impact of their very public fallout reached further than just their own bank accounts or reputations. But what about the kids caught in the middle of this high-profile fallout? Growing up in the spotlight of reality television is never easy, but Cameron and Peyton Schulz have handled it with a surprising amount of grace. Now in their late teens and early 20s, the kids have made a very deliberate choice to stay away from the cameras. This desire for a quiet life became even stronger after the very public and messy breakup of their parents in late 2018. Brandi once in a while shares pictures of them, giving fans a small glimpse into their lives. On the other hand, Jarrod's public interaction with the kids is much more limited. While there are a few photos of him with his son Cameron, he is far less vocal about their daily lives than Brandi is. This distance became even more noticeable after the 2021 bar incident, which was likely a very difficult time for the whole family to navigate under the watchful eye of the public. For the record, Brandi has full custody of the kids, which explains why Jarrod is rarely seen with them. While they all might not be part of the show as they were, the legacy of the young guns was one that couldn't be replaced. Now that the legacy is split in two different directions, the focus is changing. With his family life and TV career in the rear view, what is Jarrod's current worth? Jarrod's current net worth. Moving from reality TV to the real world was a gamble that Jarrod took like a champ. But was it all worth it? At this time, Jarrod Schulz has managed to maintain a solid estimated net worth of approximately $2 million despite the financial hit he took when A&E stopped bankrolling him. At the height of his fame, he was reportedly pulling in over $700,000 per season. A large portion of his wealth today is tied up in real estate and his local business, the Rush Bar and Grill. While his famous Now and Then stores are long gone, the bar in Lake Forest has become a steady source of income for him. When you compare him to other legends like Barry Weiss, he might not have as much as they do. While he's not exactly living the celebrity life, he's doing much better than the average person. Then there is the mystery of outlaw apparel. For years, Jarrod was a walking billboard for the brand, wearing its signature black and white designs in every single episode. However, after a massive closeout sale in 2018, the brand seemed to slip into the background. Today, it exists as a niche online store with limited inventory. Some see it as a failed business, while others view it as a personal hobby that Jarrod keeps alive for the fans. Despite the stable income from the bar and the lingering presence of his clothing line, something is missing. You can take the man out of the auction, but you can't take the auction out of the man. Jarrod has even hinted on social media that things just aren't the same without his presence on the screen. But could a return to the screen be on the horizon? Where is Jarrod Schulz now? Jarrod Schulz has become a regular face in Orange County, where he spends most of his time managing the floor at the Rush Bar and Grill. While he seems content as a businessman, it may seem as though he hasn't completely let go of his love for being in front of the camera. In February 2025, he made a post on Facebook about him thinking of getting in a brand new season of Storage Wars. In his words, "It's just not the same without me." There are even rumors of a potential legacy season or a solo comeback that continue to swirl in reality TV circles. However, the industry is a different place now. While fans love a good redemption arc, the legal controversies from 2021 remain a major problem for any network. For now, Jarrod seems to be playing the long game, focusing on his daily life and keeping his updates infrequent and focused on his business. Physically, the years have changed the man fans remember as the impulsive young gun. Now, in his late 40s, Jarrod has traded the youthful intensity for a more seasoned, rugged look. He still rocks his signature style. It's obvious that he's not the same agile and energetic guy he used to be. He has watched from the sidelines as new cast members joined Storage Wars, often offering subtle critiques of how the game has changed. Even as the show moves on, the Young Guns episodes remain some of the most watched content on streaming platforms, proving their era was truly the show's golden age. Whether he returns to the screen or stays a local legend, Jarrod's impact on reality TV is undeniable. The question remains for the fans who grew up watching him. Do you want Jarrod back on Storage Wars? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Also, hit the notification bell so you never miss our next video. Thanks for watching.